get started using ChatGPT if you have no experience, no knowledge, and limited time. What's good? I'm Rob Cressy, and I want to help you get started in using ChatGPT in a way that serves you and helps you grow in your business and in your personal life. And I'm sharing this right now because on Wednesday, August 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern, we are hosting a ChatGPT boot camp for coaches where it's going to be a 90-minute interactive session all around how do you talk to ChatGPT and use cases for growing your business. If this is something you're interested in, you can go to unlimitedlivetalks.com. Once again, unlimitedlivetalks.com. It is going to be an experience that will change the next 10 years of your life and how you use ChatGPT forever. So I wanted to give some value ahead of time to sort of set the stage for what you can experience there. So let's start with some foundational things. Number one, I believe in human-first AI, where we are not outsourcing everything we do to the robots. We are the leader. It is the creative partner or the assistant. Number two, ChatGPT allows you to get closer to what you're working on, not further away. So its ability to boom, get close, get deep, do it further, faster. And then the last thing here, ChatGPT allows you to save time, not take away from your time, which can be challenging to see if you're starting at the beginning. But trust me, by design, the reason so many of us are fanatical about this is because of how much time it saves us. And I've got clients that I've worked with a marketing agency that saved 40 hours over an hour and a half call with me. Why? Because all of a sudden you can create these quantum leaps in ways that you can do things more efficiently, faster, in building better systems and processes. So let's start at the very beginning of my journey in what this can look like for you. I'm going to assume you have limited or no knowledge of ChatGPT. Maybe you don't even have an account, or maybe you've signed up for an account and done nothing with it. So I used ChatGPT for the first time. The very first week it was out in beta down in November 2022. And within the very first minute of using it, I was like, holy smokes, Batman. I feel like I just used the internet for the very first time. I am all in. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I can't believe this thing is free. It felt like I was using magic. Immediately, my forward-thinking nature saw what the next 10 years of the world looks like. And I was like, I'm all in. I want to use this every way that I can. I want to be a part of this wave. And one of the things that I kept hearing on Twitter is people would be like, oh my God, I can write a blog post that sounds like Daffy Duck. And I'm like, that's cute and all, but I'm an entrepreneur. I want to leverage ChatGPT to figure out how to turn $1 into $1.50 because I legitimately believe there are millions and billions of dollars at our ability to ask ChatGPT the right questions. It doesn't mean it's going to spit out a lottery ticket, but what it can do is help us create the strategy that we can then execute that allows us to create more, bigger, faster in all areas of our life. So in that very first minute and the subsequent hours after that, I started, and like many people, you're like, well, what in the world do I put in here? So you'll do one thing. You'll just be like, write me a song about a dog. And it'll go and you're like, whoa, that was pretty fast. And then you might take something else that's random of like, how do I fix a tire? And then you go, okay, well, let me see how good this thing really is, because what you're doing is you're not really sure what it can do. So it's like this supercomputer that knows everything, but you don't really know what it's capable of because you've never experienced it. So you need to shatter your own belief ceiling. You're like, oh, you think you're really good? I want you to write me a social media marketing strategy for a coaching business around personal growth and development in AI. And then it goes, doot, and spits it out in about 13 seconds. And you go, oh my God, what in the world did I just create? Because when I did that, that was one of the very first things and why the light bulb moment went off for me. because I was like, I'm going to go immediately to my business. What are the things that I'm actively doing every single day? And in years past, I used to get paid 5 or 10 grand to create a brand strategy or a social media strategy for brands. And this is something that might take a month for me to do. ChatGPT did it in about 17 seconds. And I was like, oh my God, you know how many more clients you could do this for if you could create a brand strategy in maybe not 17 seconds, let's call it 1 hour. 30 days versus 1 hour. So then once you've gone and played around with create me a social media marketing strategy, then you really start to deep dive in your own business. And it's why one of the foundational questions I'm always asking myself is, what are you not asking ChatGPT to do? Because really the only limit is ourselves. And once I understood this, I immediately was like, I can be more creative. This is actually a gift for me. This is a gift for you. Your own creativity. Remember, this thing can build a rocket ship to the moon or build a social media strategy or help you cook a perfect steak. And you're like, wait a second. With this, and it's $0 or $20 a month to use this thing. So that's how I started in doing this. And this became very infectious for me, where even when I was done working and I was using this every day, when I was done with work, I'm still using ChatGPT. I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? So I saw it as a playground and as an opportunity. And I share this because it's a very important distinction that I really try and transfer to others, because so many people come at things with a scarcity mindset of, I don't have the time to learn. I don't know what to put in there. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not technical. It takes zero technical expertise whatsoever, because remember, we all start at zero. We all have this journey and this experience of using ChatGPT for the first time or for the first times. And so often you use it in a way where it doesn't create the results that you're looking for. But like riding a bike, the more you use it, the better you get. And one of the reasons why we're creating this ChatGPT bootcamp for coaches is because we want to help you build that foundation that says, hey, this is how you can talk to ChatGPT to get powerful results. And here are a variety of use cases of ways that you can use this practically every single day to grow your business. So once again, if this sounds interesting, go to unlimitedlivetalks.com. It's going down Wednesday, August 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern, because this is the separator from average, I'm not going to use it very often, to elite, where you're using it every single day as your creative partner. And guess what? This is effortless. It is something that is completely in flow. And a key in all of this, once again, scarcity versus abundance. You being open to the possibilities and the perspectives that there's things accessible to you that you are just not aware of, that is only you showing up for one 90-minute boot camp that'll change the rest of your business and the rest of your life forever. And with this in mind, let me break down a few things that I hear in our unlimited community, or when I'm talking with clients or prospective clients, on the things that are limiting them or challenging them from getting started or using this more to maximize its potential. And I'm going to share a quote from Rick Rubin, and he has an amazing book, The Creative Act, that I highly, highly recommend. It's one of the best books I've ever read. Super awesome audiobook as well. And he says, the power of purity in the creative act. So when I think about AI and ChatGPT, one of the biggest challenges that people have to overcome for themselves is actually around the purity of creation that we as artists and creators, and I'm someone who has dedicated the last 12 years of my life to doing this full time. We very much want to come from a place of authenticity where we share our heartbeat, our wins, our victories, our struggles, and everything in between from this journey. It can be a very emotional journey. So to all of a sudden say, wait a second, I'm going to outsource this emotional journey, this thing that is a part of who I am, to AI and the robots, it can feel very incongruent with people. And I get it. And this is an area where 90% of people and companies out there are going to fail at this because immediately, there's one of the quotes, marketers ruin everything. So they get access to ChatGPT and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to create 1 million blog posts and I'm going to game the SEO system where I'm just going to take 100 topics and I'm going to say, write me a post about tips for creating a marketing strategy. And it'll go, do, and you throw it on your blog post and 12 minutes later, it's done. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to do this into perpetuity. The problem is, and you don't realize this until you start doing a little bit more, we can hear and understand what AI sounds like. Superpowers, unlocks, tapestry, delves. These words where you're like, wait a second. I never say the word delves in my life. Never in the history of my life have I ever been like, oh, and you know what? I was delving into this thing. So it's an immediate signal. And that's what people don't like, is they don't want something representing them that is not representative of them. And this is why we come from a human-first perspective for how we leverage ChatGPT and AI. When you lead with your heart, you give it the inputs, and then you use it as the polish or to distill or to expand on ideas. Now we are leading, and it is our assistant. So because of this, I would encourage you to ask yourself the question, when you think about how you leverage ChatGPT or would like to, are you including some resistance around the purity of creation? Where you're saying, you know what, Rob, I don't feel good about using ChatGPT. And that's okay if you do, because everything that we're going to share is how you can use ChatGPT in an authentic, heart-centered way. Because remember this, one thing that AI does not have is soul. And once you understand that, lock that in your mind, you will understand one of the things you're always going to want to try and bring more out of in your writing or creating with AI and ChatGPT: soul, heart, energy, feeling, emotion. We are not outsourcing those things. We are starting with those things from ourselves, and it'll help us amplify it. So the next part of this will be around scarcity versus abundance. And this is just so important. As Tim Grover says in the book, Relentless, everything's labeled number one because it's all most important. So think about this. You're starting out at zero or the very beginning. I don't have the time to learn how to use ChatGPT versus this can create the time. And to me, this absolutely blows my mind as someone who did not need to be convinced to use this, who within 1 minute was all in for the rest of my life on this. And I've built a business around helping leaders and teams leverage AI and ChatGPT in their business. So if you're coming from this place of, I don't have the time for this, I sit here from my perspective and I'm like, that's a scarcity mindset, because time is just a perspective you create for yourself. If you don't have the time to create new things in your life, you have a completely other problem there of, I'm too busy, I'm overwhelmed, I'll get to it later. To me, that's not going to get you to where you want to go. Let's flip this thing over to the abundance side of things, where you're like, all right, Rob, I'm open to at least a little bit of what you're sharing. So how in the world could this create and save more time for me? That single question right there, you could go in and put into ChatGPT. You could be like, listen, I don't believe in ChatGPT whatsoever, but I'm at least open to the perspective that maybe I'm wrong. So this is what I do for business. I am a coach that transforms leaders through AI and self-development. How in the world could I use ChatGPT to save time? And what it'll do, it'll go do, and give you all these things. You might look at it and you're like, well, that's kind of generic. So then this is your opportunity to yes and it and say, all right, let me give you one specific thing that I'm doing. I've always wanted to create a newsletter, but I haven't been consistent at doing it. How can I save time using ChatGPT in creating a newsletter? Do. And you'll be like, oh my God, did it just give me this strategy for how I can consistently and easily write a newsletter? And you're like, oh, so now it can help you do more with less, faster. And I'm going to say this again because it is so important that if you fundamentally believe this, it'll change everything for you. More with less faster. ChatGPT can help you do that. Scarcity versus abundance. I don't have the time, more with less faster. Number 2, scarcity. I don't know what I don't know. I get it. We're all starting out at 0. Versus I am excited to experiment and learn. And one of the biggest advantages that I have is that I love to create. I legitimately left my well-paying corporate job over a decade ago to be a full-time creator and entrepreneur. So for me, the things that I love to do the most are create videos, podcasts, communities, programs, help people. Literally every single day, all I want to do every day is create nonstop. So when I come from this and I'm teaching or coaching people on how to be better on camera, how to launch a podcast, how to leverage AI, whatever it is, I come from a place of abundance where I see this as a playground. Because for a lot of people who are not getting started, they see this as an obligation, not as an opportunity. And when you see this as an opportunity and you can play and you can be light with this and it can be very fun, holy smokes, you just tapped into an unbelievable superpower, because what you'll feel here is an energy difference, resistance of no, versus I wonder what happens if I do this. Oh my God, I did this, and then this happened, and then this happened. And then all of a sudden, you start sharing these things, and you're like, I did this. And it's why I say shattering your belief ceiling. And one of the things that I'm always challenging and encouraging our clients who are part of Unlimited, side note, if you're interested in joining our community, go to creatingunlimited.com, is I'll say to them, when was the last time you impressed yourself with ChatGPT? Like, Rob, what are you talking about? I was like, what are those light bulb moments when you do something and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it can do this. And I'll take you back to the very beginning in which I'm sitting there and I'm trying to break ChatGPT. I'm like, oh, you're a supercomputer. You know everything. Let's see this. So I was like, I'm going to think as big as I possibly can. And I'm going to do so from the perspective of what I do as a coach. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to create an 8-week coaching program for Jesus. Let's assume Jesus was alive right now. He's sitting there. He's on Instagram. He's got shorts and reels. He's on YouTube. He's got a podcast. And we're all sitting there. We're like, whoa, man, Jesus is out there. He's just creating content nonstop. And he's like, you know what? I want to create a coaching program. I want you to do that and make it 8 weeks and drill it down. Give me the outline and each of the topics. And 12 seconds later, it goes, doot. And I was like, oh my God, it has taken me months previously, probably years, for me to build my courses and coaching programs over the course of the last 4 years of taking everything that I've learned and experienced, both for myself as well as on the client calls that I have. It's taken me years to capture it, organize it, distill it, and then put it into an easily executable thing where people can watch or consume it. And ChatGPT did this for Jesus in about 12 seconds. And in that moment, my mind exploded. I was like, Jesus is at the top of the game in terms of personal growth and development. Therefore, why don't we just mimic what he's doing and see what it creates? And once I saw that, I was like, oh my God, there are no limits to what you can create here. Once again, I hope you can feel this energy and excitement in my voice. This is energy in here. What is the energy for how you're experiencing ChatGPT? Remember, I don't know what I don't know. Scarcity versus I'm excited to experiment and learn abundance. And then the last thing right here would be I don't know what to put in. So there's I don't know what I don't know versus I don't even know what the first thing is to put in. And here's my prompt for you. Just ask yourself this. What's alive in me right now? Doesn't matter what it is, business, personal life, anything. What is alive in me right now? You might say, well, my fantasy football draft's coming up right now, and I've got the first pick. Do I take Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill? And it'll give you an answer. And you're like, I didn't know it could do something with fantasy football. Or maybe you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? I've always wanted to build my own course, but I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where I'm going to create the time for this, but I love this idea and I know I'm called to do it. Or for many people, they might say, you know what? I want to create greater impact. I would love to speak from stages more, but I've never done it. I know I'm good with the people that I know, but how in the world do I do this on a higher level? Start with what is alive in you right now. Because when you do, now you're coming from your authenticity, your energy, your heart. This is your business. This is your life right now. So you don't know what to put in. It's just a self-limiting belief that's not true. Because one of the things that I've learned about writer's block, and I picked this up, I studied improv and comedy writing for 4 years at Second City in Chicago. And one of the things they said is writer's block is really just an unwillingness to write crappy words on paper, because it's not like you forgot how to write. So if you find yourself in writer's block, what I want you to do is just to write some words. So you'll look around and you'll be like, water bottle, phone, dog, microphone, light. And you're like, man, I would love to shine my light on a few more people. What would I talk about? And just you putting words down gets the momentum going. Doesn't mean that the words are perfect, but the key is not being on zero. And the same is true for how you can use ChatGPT for the very first time. Start with what's alive for you, or just start with anything. Just start putting things in there and start breaking it. And when you don't like the response, sit there and ask it, hey, this isn't very good. What could I have put in here that would have given me a better response? So now you can be conversational in how you use this. And when you understand these very simple mindsets and frameworks for how to live in abundance with ChatGPT instead of scarcity, you will very quickly see how good you can get at this, to where I know when my clients or anyone I talk to, they've got it when they say, Rob, I'm using ChatGPT every single day. It's always open on my computer. And why is that? Because it becomes an invaluable resource for yourself. So what I and we want to do on this ChatGPT bootcamp for coaches is help you go from zero to using it as an invaluable resource for yourself, where you're like, listen, I can't even imagine living without using this on a regular basis. And this can come from your abundance, your heartbeat, the way that you want to do it. But if you don't know what you don't know, the fastest way you can get there is to work with people who have already done it. So in this boot camp, we're going to be very interactive and hands-on. So we're going to want you to have your ChatGPT open because you're going to learn by doing. And this is a little sort of a precursor to what's going on. If you're listening or watching this after the fact, that's okay, because we're going to be running a lot more of these. And we're here to be champions for you on your journey of leveraging AI and ChatGPT in a human-first way to support your business growth. So once again, you can go to unlimitedlivetalks.com. The ChatGPT Bootcamp Wednesday, August 28th at 12 p.m. You can sign up and register. And I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a 15 out of 10. I know what's in store for it. So if you have any thoughts or questions about this, let me know. I'd love to be a champion for you on your journey. You can hit me up on all social media platforms at Rob Cressy. Sending tons of good vibes your way. Hope you have yourself an amazing rest of the day.